This TCE pregame picks and preview edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet and use promo code SGPN. And last but not least, we are brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $250 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for more details. What is going on? I don't know if you guys saw the very side edges of our screen there during the intro and the pre-roll ad reads, but yeah, I had to make up a little bit of a thumbnail and wing it here on a nice thirsty Friday afternoon. It's going to be Rob and I. This is Rob Donaldson. I'm sure you saw him on yesterday's episode. Damn, that was a whole day ago. Saw him on there. Follow him on Twitter, I'm sure. And yeah, we're going to look through some of these Friday games. But how's the afternoon so far, Rob?
It's so good, man. You know, happy Friday. Work is done for the week. College basketball is on the horizon. Heck, we have conference tournaments starting up this weekend too. Yeah, let's talk some ball, brother.
Yeah, well, I guess we can jump right into a couple of these games. I mean, we've got Dartmouth up 6 right now on Yale. Harvard's up 8 on Brown. Kind of just got into the second half. I've got the Central and Eastern pregame on right now in the background, but have anything going on, Brown, Yale, Dartmouth?
Just fan interest for Brown. I love their veteran core with Keno Lilly and Aaron Cooley, and even though they've lost some of that core to the transfer portal and to injuries, it's still intact. They're still fighting, and I really hope they get a shot in the Ivy League tournament. So really hoping they find a way to scrape it together against Harvard, because it's looking pretty dire if they can't get it done.
Yeah, that one is probably must win here for Brown.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on either of these 6 or 6:30 games with Iona, Niagara, or anything? I actually laid the points with Niagara.
I like that. I think that's a good angle. Iona obviously has been a team that's like bipolar. They can win by 30, they can lose by 30. They've got the Tobin Anderson, who's a very polarizing figure as well. And yeah, nothing else in terms of just bets for me. Yale being down to Dartmouth is very interesting. It kind of reminds me of last week when they were down to Cornell early. A live money line spot. I don't know what the odds are, but I wouldn't want to count out Yale, even with them having locked up a number 1 seed.
Oh yeah, I mean, consistency this time of year seems to be the big winner. Let's jump into this one. This Davidson VCU game. VCU laying that big 14.5. It's 141.5 on the total. I think this spread at first, you look at it and you're like, holy shit, this is pretty big. It's 14.5, but they still have to win in order to have the tiebreaker over George Mason. I'm pretty sure in the A10. I know they have the same conference record, but feels like, I don't know if they'll stay vanilla or if they'll just make sure that they win this game. Feels kind of safe laying these numbers with VCU.
Yeah, you've kind of got an ultimate, like, when you go into a bet with VCU, what feels really good about it is they're not going to get blown out, you know, on the opposite side of things, because they can D you up, they can score, and when everything is clicking, they're going to jump out on you and win by 30. So there is that just like that nice, safe feeling that you're never really out of a bet. Heck, even against George Mason, I think they were either down at half or it was a very small lead, and then in the second half, it ballooned in like 5 minutes.
I was going to say VCU is also one of those teams that if you do feel like the 14.5 is pretty big and you're watching it live and it comes down to some number like 7.5 or 8.5, they tend to kind of smoke teams there in the second half of games where you might be able to jump back in that. They cover a little bit of a loss if they don't get all the way back to that big number. But yeah, they have very funny when you look at the game flow charts and you see a team go flat line and VCU just ballistically pop up in like a 4 or 5 minute span. It is pretty dangerous. But yeah, I'm going to lay the number here with the Rams.
Yeah, I 100% like that play too. It is a very backdoorable number, but kind of like what we saw against Richmond. Like if it does kind of creep into the back door, VCU plays their starters and they can gear up and just turn it in an instant. That's exactly what they did last time out against Richmond, getting this exact number or laying this exact number. So yeah, I do feel pretty confident with 14.5 there.
Did you do anything for any of these other two 7:00 Ivy Leagues with Princeton, Columbia, or Penn and Cornell? I didn't end up betting either of these.
I didn't bet either of them either, but when you're looking at that Princeton line dropping from 6.5 down to 4.5, oh my gosh, it's doing the exact opposite of what you would kind of come to expect there.
Yeah, is that something where they're worried about them trying to play vanilla or something along those lines, like having to match up against Columbia in the conference tournament here, right? Like on a turnaround or something?
Bizarro world. I have no clue because this is a must-win game for Princeton. They're not solidified in the Ivy League tournament as it currently stands.
That's weird that it's only 4.5. Almost scares me more that it's come down. Yeah.
Yeah. It almost makes me want to like just place an obligatory bet on Columbia money line and just leave it at that.
It doesn't seem all that bad of an idea, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I did have a question on this one. This is we'll jump ahead to an 8:00 game here. Why is James Madison only laying 1.5 on the road at Texas State? They're one game up on that other 3-team group in the conference between, Arkansas State, South Alabama, and Troy. Go me. And Arkansas State plays ULM. So a loss here is asking for chaos, and they're laying 1.5.
So as far as I understand, and you can correct me if you know a little bit better than I do, but James Madison is locked into the number 1 seed if they win. But if they lose and some other things happen tonight, the furthest they can fall back is to the 2 seed. So in terms of like them playing an extra game, that's not at risk here tonight. The only real pride standpoint for James Madison would just be if you want the outright conference win. You want to leave no share of the Sun Belt, and you just want to say, hey, we want to raise that banner saying we were the champions, knowing that we stood alone at the top. Texas State, if they lose and a lot of things shake up below them, Texas State could be dropping down to the 9 seed and playing an extra game in the Sun Belt tournament. And it's also senior day, all that jazz, last game of the season at home. So there are a lot of angles working for Texas State, but with a line like this, there's no margin for error. Like, they got to get it done. If they come up just short against a better team, who cares? You lost your bet.
I feel like this is almost the obligatory Texas State must win spot, and they are on JMU only laying 1.5. This almost feels like a Columbia here where if you're taking the 1.5, just get rid of that bucket and take the money line.
Yeah, I would say so, especially if you can get an even payout or something to that effect too. Yeah.
And then kind of playing off of that with Arkansas State playing, basement dweller, absolute horrible ULM. You think they cover that big 17.5? Or do you think that this is we know we just have to win and hope for the best and coast through it? Because it kind of feels like that. Like they win this game by 10 and just kind of whatever, we're moving along.
Well, the interesting part, right, is they just played like last week, and Arkansas State did handle them from the out the gate. I think it was a 30-point lead in the first half is kind of what it felt like. ULM is definitely dead. They don't care about this game. And this number is a lot shorter than what Arkansas State was laying last time out. And it's one of those things too where this could be a team on the take because they got up twice against South Alabama and won those games convincingly, and then they just get blown out by every single other team. So I have no idea how to gauge ULM at all.
And they've got, well, Arkansas State would have nothing to lose just winning this game by any number, which always scares me.
Right.
Like, obviously ULM's not going to be involved in any kind of tiebreaker or anything like that. So I Arkansas State's awesome and ULM sucks, but the 17.5 does scare me here. I don't know if I can lay that.
I agree. And with how Arkansas State plays defense, it's just one of those things of it could be 190.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like you're ever out of the woods with a team like ULM that's just going to be shot chucking. I mean, they could be out of it for 30 minutes and then just cover in the last 10 by going on a 12-0 scoring run.
Let's look at this UCLA Purdue game. This is a very, very easy play for me, but it's not like a statistical play at all. With Purdue laying 5.5, 138.5 is the total here. Just look at all of the Friday night games at Mackey this year.
Yeah. It's
just a little bit different. I think even though it's that stinky 5.5, I feel pretty good laying it here with Purdue.
Yeah, this is the environment in the Big Ten conference. You know, everybody, there's a lot of great environments. Obviously, we got Indiana and you got Michigan, and each venue I think has a little bit of uniqueness to it, but Mackey just feels like it's on top of you. It does feel like the Cameron Indoor of this conference to a degree. And when you have a Purdue team that is real, and I mean, they've lost 4 straight, you would have to go back, I think, a few seasons to find a stretch like this for Purdue. You got to kind of wonder, would this line be like a 7.5, 8.5 if it was Purdue 2 weeks ago? And I think the answer is probably yes. And I do think that Purdue can easily get back to that with how veteran heavy they are and how well coached they are.
You're just going to get carried by the fan hype too. Like that, obviously it plays pretty big into Purdue. We've even coming into games where they were struggling before, they've had they demolished Michigan at home in a Friday night game that was pretty hotly debated on the TCE show. And then again, on our pregame show, it was not a very agreeable game and they just smoked them. And you were like, wow, the fans didn't quiet down from 20 minutes before the game until probably hours afterwards. So yeah, it seems like, we're kind of turning into spring, getting people a little more excited, but it's still, as soon as that sun goes down, it's still right back to fucking cold and there's nothing to do but yell about college basketball and have a few drinks. So I'm rolling with Mackey. Like I said, I'm laying the 5.5 here.
Yeah, and especially in West Lafayette. This isn't Bloomington where like there's a college atmosphere. I've been to West Lafayette. That's just like you're there. Everybody, I think, is studying. I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know if their students even go to school at that place, to be honest with you. It's more like a commuter town. People file in for these games and only the basketball portion, not the football portion. And then they're going back to wherever they're from.
It's true. What about this one? Zach asked about freaking Sacred Heart laying 2.5 at home against Marist. Is this a we don't care game?
I dove into it. I took Sacred Heart. So I got them at plus 1.5 last night. This line did flip through 0, which I've had a lot of mixed results with. But I do think the analytics have hated Marist all season. They've been catching these kinds of lines game after game, and they've covered, I think, 50-50. So it's one of those things where I just feel like eventually, if you're laying these types of lines against teams with inferior records and even losing records like a Sacred Heart, and you're 20-5, I think eventually the books are going to either make a market correction on you if you're covering a lot, or it's just the actual true representation of how good your team is. And I'm going to be, I think it's the latter. I'm diving into Sacred Heart. I think they win this pretty convincingly here.
Well, getting it at 1.5, no matter how much people say that they dislike the closing line value, if you're still willing to lay it at 2.5 and someone's going to give me, that many extra points, I'm not going to be too upset about it. If the bet loses, the bet loses. That's just something that happens in this world sometimes, Here's the banger of the night. Kent State, Akron.
Oh,
Akron laying
great
3.5, 156.5 on the total. Akron with a game of cushion in conference currently. Just got smoked. First conference loss for them. I don't know why I said they just got smoked. I was going to say they've already smoked Kent State on the road, and laying a kind of a small number here. We're in the territory of is this a we don't care as much as we should game for the Zips? But coming off that conference loss, it feels like you might be getting a low number with them trying to correct and feel pretty good about themselves before conference tournament time.
I could see a million different angles for both teams in this game. Just a banger. And this is one of those rivalries where the atmosphere in the building, I don't know, it's almost like a Philly Eagles type of atmosphere where, do I really want to be part of that? It kind of terrifies me. Yeah. If you pull it with Kent State gear, you're probably getting a beer can in the back of your head. And there's certain vulgar language and all this other great stuff that just makes college sports very, very interesting. And it takes place on the court too. I mean, we saw that championship game when Akron got all those players suspended in the locker room for saying fuck Kent State, and that was so soft. But I think it just kind of speaks to how much there's actually true hatred between these two in-state programs. And I always want to take the points, especially if you're getting more than a possession. And I think it's justified why Akron is laying a number like a 3.5 or a 4. So it's not like it's a weird kind of a buffer there either. So I am going to take Kent State. I did bet them pretty confidently, and I think this is just going to be a really fun game.
It does feel like a game that Akron finds a way to win at home on like a layup at the end of the game.
Right.
Yeah. You win the game by 1 or 2 and you're sitting there like, oh, the 3.5 did make sense, didn't it? Shit.
Right.
I wanted to back them for maybe trying to recorrect and feel themselves a little bit better going into the conference tournament, but it just seems like it's going to be a fucking dogfight and a nail biter all the way down. So I'll roll. Yeah. I'll take the points. We got to pay some bills here. I almost forgot that I was supposed to be the bill payer today. So make sure to gear up for March Madness. Use promo code MADNESS in the SGPN merch store for 20% off. Get in now before the promo code is gone. My favorite item, Eat Shit Pit shirts. Oh yeah. Cap had the We Believe saxophone ECU shirt on. That one is also pretty nice. What are you rocking?
Let It Ride.
Oh, nice. I've got everything so small with like 15 tabs pulled up right here. I can barely see anything. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is that there is no credit checks and it's completely free. So sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you can get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet every sport, plus props for every game in the live dealer casino. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. It's easy to deposit, and lightning fast payouts are available using cryptocurrency. Head to mybookie.ag and use promo code SGPN for a $100 deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Underdog. NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever your sport, you can cash in big with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Underdog is offering a Luka Doncic discount for every Lakers game for the rest of the regular season. Also for football diehards, pick'em projections for select players' 40-yard dash times during this week's NFL Combine still available. So do you have anything to throw in here, Rob, to a little underdog play?
I do. Let's go ahead and take Max Shulga to go higher than 14.5 points. I think he blends in with the whiteness of Davidson, and as we kind of alluded to, VCU is Final Four, Elite Eight caliber good, and they can jump out and get you. I think that there's going to be more of a barrage of points in this game with a pace pushed by VCU, and I think Max Shulga leading the point, leading the transition steals. I think he's going to be the guy doing it.
That's a solid one to pair with this one that I also have in the same game. I'm glad you went with Max's points. I wanted to do that, but I had the little syndrome where when you click on Underdog and go to college basketball and it's the very first person listed in the very first game and the very first prop, I'm like, oh man, how many people are going to click on that? But I do think that at 14.5, going higher than that projection seems pretty good. I'm going to go higher on Bama Seals 3 points made at 1.5. I like you said, I think we see a barrage. I think maybe some transition and kicks, and we know he's not afraid to put up attempts. So you're going to have a chance to get it at least.
Yeah, and even last game out, he had some weirdly bad shots, and so I do feel like this is kind of like a redemption game just for him to get tuned up for A10 play, or A10 tournament rather.
Do you have anything else?
I can be swayed in a lot of different directions. Right now, I'm kind of looking at some of the Purdue lines, but if you have something, you go ahead and throw it in there. Let's make it a 3-player entry.
This might require a bit of swaying for a college basketball show, but this one is a back-to-back here for one team and another team with probably the fastest dude with the puck besides Connor McDavid. But I'm going higher on Nate McKinnon at half a goal here in the Avalanche game tonight. I just always take any of his projection lines anytime they're playing a team that's played a back-to-back game because he's so much faster and quicker than everybody else. He seems to get way too many opportunities to pass up on it.
Yep, I like that one. I like it.
All right, well, we've got a nice three-way there. So Shulga, higher than 14.5 points. Bama Seal, higher than 1.5 threes. Nate McKinnon, higher than half a goal. It's got to be at least like 4.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So sign up with promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, back up in this piece. I can get rid of those notes now and actually see the whole screen. Look at that. All right, let's check out let's highlight some TMZ games for the weekend. Specifically Saturday. Right off the bat, Auburn laying 4.5 on the road at Rupp.
Yeah, and I do think, man, Kentucky's been a hard team to figure out. One of those anxiety-inducing teams, too, where it feels like they're in the game, or they might even have a 10-point lead. But the fact that they don't play defense and go on these scoring droughts with so much consistency just means that they're never safe to cover a line like this, even if they're up by 20 at halftime.
Yeah, betting on Kentucky is like having a drug dealer where like 5 or 6 of the times you've gotten the best drugs ever, and 5 or 6 of the other times it's been like oregano or like baby powder and baking soda mixed together or something. And yeah, I mean, if you gamble sometimes like I do with a couple of smaller unit plays that I'll do when I'm at a Nats game, knowing that the Nats stink, but just want to have some action to feel it. If you want to feel something, bet Kentucky games. You will have emotions flowing.
And last Saturday, it was Alabama and Kentucky in the same game, which they're the same. They're different levels of talent when Kentucky isn't fully healthy.
Yeah, and they're definitely the same when it comes to they could reverse cover like a 10-point spread. They could also be favored by 15 and lose by 15. It's kind of crazy. I think this number is too short, though. I think Auburn has pride, even if they don't need games. I think they cover this on the road at Rupp.
Yeah, this is a type of game I would throw into like a round robin money line parlay, or just a money line round robin, with maybe 3 or 5 other teams sitting on this number, because I do think the upside is definitely there for Kentucky to pull off an upset. To Matt's point in the chat, they're getting guys back. So like this is going to be a newer looking team comparatively than what we've seen in recent months and weeks even. So yeah, it's just kind of hard to bet on Kentucky when you know what the downside is if they don't come to play.
Do you want to wager on another team that will definitely make you feel something? Kansas laying 3.5 at the Fog to Texas Tech.
Oh man, you're trying to fuck with me.
This is. Does anyone have the gall to roll like Kentucky and Kansas in a blue blood parlay here?
Oh my gosh, I do not. It's one or the other, man. It's like taking Miami and oh my gosh, just another team at the bottom of a conference where you just feel like this might be their 7th win on the year, hopefully. But this is like the opposite. These are two teams who are firmly in the field. I think you gotta lay it with Kansas.
I know you brought something up before the show. I haven't heard anything about Texas Tech's health, but I would assume that no news is kind of bad news at this time of year.
Yeah.
Back to the well, back to the Fog.
Yep, I think
I've
you're
never
right.
been more grossed out than the last like month and a half of my life saying back to the Fog, and then just
yeah, and you know, I think we saw that Texas Tech game against Houston when they were not really getting smoked by them at home. I think was a true testament to McCasland and the guys kind of rallying around what they had available. But kind of like what we saw in Iowa State versus Houston, the next time out, even with them reintegrating some guys in the lineup against Oklahoma State, they got bludgeoned, and it was never even remotely close. I feel like the same can be said in this Kansas game, and I do think that Kansas could absolutely just rout them in this building.
Again, anything at the Fog that goes in that direction doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
Another one with the line out. Yeah, I'm probably going to bet Kansas. Just it's a system that, you know, sometimes you go multiple years where the system can't be beat, and then you can't be scared away by a few months of struggling at the Fog.
Right.
It'll get right.
Yep.
I don't have any projections or anything pulled up, but Alabama, Tennessee laying 3.5.
Heater.
This is just TMZ heaters, man. Again, another team that's scary to bet on. Alabama's playing in a game, and we've got a total at 154.5. Feels like Tennessee might slow them down pretty well.
And what I've really liked about Tennessee, at least in regular season play so far, we'll see how it translates, is they have the athleticism at guard to run with a team like in Alabama. You know, last week, obviously Texas A&M kind of plays a little bit more of a defensive style and more methodical in terms of their half court sets, but they have athleticism at guard spots, and Wade Taylor, you know, was held in check throughout the entire game, and they won that pretty convincingly. They didn't lead wire to wire, but they led at half, and then they really just kind of showed up in the second half and showed that they were the better team. I really love Tennessee. I do think, again, Alabama is just one of those teams where the range of outcomes is insane.
Yeah, it's the like guy that plays golf once a year. I'm gripping this and ripping this as hard as I can.
Right.
It could go anywhere in this vicinity. I do kind of like Tennessee here. I have this angle on Rick Barnes that like he sucked for so long that he learned how to not suck. It just took longer than most, but he's made so many mistakes that now he just has like the recall of like, oh, you F that up back at Texas. Don't do that again. And it did take him, making the same mistake maybe 3 or 4 times, but I feel like he's starting to, I guess as a coach, your prime can be like 30 years long. Maybe we're just now seeing Rick Barnes start to get to his prime here. I'll lay it with the Vols.
I'm with you. And what if this is like Rick Barnes's swan song, where if he makes that Final Four again for the first time since 2003, he's like, you know what? I've accomplished a lot in my career from a win standpoint. NIL, I'm losing my Mekhi Ziegler and all these other veteran guys. It's time. I can totally see it.
Yeah, that would be just pull the John Elway, get one, and get out of there while you're on top.
Yep.
Man, it's not really a TMZ game. I'm just kind of scrolling past it. I'll lay the 11.5 with Louisville against Pittsburgh. Eat shit Pitt system play. Always bet against them.
Doesn't that line feel like, are there injuries on Pitt or something?
I will tell you, I don't look at lines in Pitt games. I just take the other side. I have made this clear to everyone that could be possibly tailing. This is not a statistical system. This is a emotional play. Pitt sucks. Always bet against them.
That's totally fair. I'll ride with you on that. I do wonder if there's like a trip up spot for Louisville on the horizon somewhere. They have a pretty smooth sailing final few games here, and I just don't know if they're gonna run the table. I would love it if they did. Love Pat Kelsey.
It does always look easy theoretically when you have a season like this and you get through to like oh man, we finally are on this home stretch, and it actually looks like it's kind of downhill. You could still crash going downhill. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make it clear that everyone that didn't know that I will be betting against Pitt, I will be betting against Pitt.
Leaving no stone unturned.
Yeah, just clarifying things. Let's pay one more bill here. We got one last ad. SGPN and TCE here are brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party, and you are invited. All Rhythm users are invited to a first floor watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas. Free drinks, plus you get to hang out with the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Experience. And it gets better than that. Rhythm is also giving away a $250 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make it to the party, you can still make it there in spirit with your $250 free future bet. So sign up now for your 7-day free trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Come by and use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket and make some bets while you are there. Make sure to take advantage of the free party and a chance at a $250 future bet. So go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details and sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM for the main website. All right, we jump back in here. Just trying to look at the games that already have real lines that are out so we don't get accused of the Colby Dant of like, oh, no, I got that at 4.5. What are you guys talking about?
Colby loves doing that.
The numbers exist, though. Like I've
do.
gone through
and
do. They exist. There's, you just have to have a solid tax guy that wants to deal with 15 to 16 accounts worth of information.
I will say, Matt here in the chat asking about a game that's near and dear to my heart because I'm an Iowa Hawkeye guy. He's asking about the Northwestern Iowa game here on Friday.
Yeah, Northwestern's laying points, aren't they?
Yeah, yep. And this is probably the last chance that Fran McCaffrey has to win a game as the head coach of Iowa. He's done after this year. I'm willing to guarantee that. And yeah, I don't think there's another winnable game on the schedule. So it has to be here, or it's not going to be, or he's already won his final game potentially. And I think he gets up and gets it done. He's only done one thing well at Iowa in terms of just being consistency wise, and that's beat Northwestern, whether it's at home or on the road, and in comeback fashion. And yeah, that's I do feel like they cover and win outright.
Yeah, I always have a near and dear spot for the Iowa fans in my heart because they used to play in that preseason tournament down at the Wide World of Sports in Disney, like
Oh yeah,
every other year on a consistent basis. And every now and then they'd match up where Dayton was there the same year, and the two fan bases travel like crazy, especially with a chance to go to Disney World and Orlando. And those are two fan bases that can do quite a bit of liquid consumption. And there are some very funny interactions going on. We also had a couple of RV bros come to a Penn State Iowa game, and they didn't even get tickets to the game. They just rolled up with like 4 kegs in their RV and were like, "Yeah, we're here to party." Cool guys.
yep.
I like Fran. I've seen plenty of live games of McCaffrey. I hope he gets his last win, and he has beat Northwestern a lot. I don't mind playing the money line here, but take the points and sprinkle.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Do we have any other Friday night games that people in chat want to ask about? Can also probably give out a couple of dogs or maybe make a parlay here before we always end up doing that at like 6:58 and 35 seconds, trying to get some 4-way money line parlay in. Like, God, why is my phone not loading?
I love it. No, there is one game that I will say I think is worth a little bit of a bet here, and I don't know if the line has changed up or down, but Georgia
I knew you'd
Southern
take the 5.5 with Canisius. Sorry.
The 3-24. Oh, that's a must bet. I agree. I think that line's telling, but I look at the Sun Belt. So it's coming down this last night of the season for the Sun Belt. We're gonna have a bracket at the end of the day here, and Georgia Southern versus Georgia State is a very meaningful one in terms of Georgia Southern could end up playing 2 more games than what they are currently slated to play if they lose, and vice versa as well. So I am laying the points to Georgia Southern. I think they're the better team. I also think if you're looking for a really sleepy underdog in the Sun Belt tournament to make a run, Georgia Southern is that team. They have some kind of wiry, shooty guards that can come off the bench and that are in their starting 5 and can just make plays. Holloman, I'm blanking on his first name right now, but he's like 5'10", 6 foot, and he just launches kind of like a Marquise Noel from 3 and has just been cash as of late. So I do like laying the 4.5 is what I got it at last night, and I think they come to play here.
Yeah, he's the one with the weird first name, right?
I think it's either not, like Deontay or
no, it's Dante.
Dante, yeah.
I was gonna say I always want to say Dante, and I always get corrected because there's some little prefix on there that's like, yeah, it's Dante. Yeah.
Yep.
It's too bad that Underdog doesn't have the
State
Southern lines up, because that would have been a hammer time on like 1.5 made 3-pointers.
Yes. Oh, I would be all if they had some of these mid majors. We'd be diving in on like the 6th guy in the rotation, getting points just out of nowhere, and we'd be making some nice bucks.
Oh yeah, they know what not to do.
Right.
I was on Southern on this one too. I think that it's one of those teams where, again, they have the VCU chance to go ballistic, and there's not really a super loss where, I mean, if they do kind of go cold, it's only 5.5. That's not something that's really pushing me away. We did have Matt ask about this Marshall App State game. Marshall laying 2.5, App State coming in. ESPNU game, national TV.
Rivalry,
probably pretty important. Oh yeah, probably pretty important for conference seeding here. They're both, I mean, they're a game away from each other, so
yeah, I don't know
I don't have a super great feeling. I haven't bet this game. I don't know if I will. It's all the way until 9:00. There's a lot of things that can change between now and then.
Yeah, if you're having a good night. I wonder who won the first matchup. with these two, or did they even have a first matchup?
Marshall beat them on the road by 10.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how, in that case, how the tiebreakers work if they end up if App State does win this game. And judging and actually it wouldn't even matter because with the Sun Belt not really having campus sites and having that structure, they're still going to be playing the same amount of games. So it's kind of like a true tune-up for the Sun Belt tournament. You want to go in obviously playing your best ball. Marshall, winners of 3 straight, and I do like betting on the teams carrying a win streak and playing their best ball coming in a tournament. I think Marshall probably gets it done laying a short number at home. And I'm guessing it's going to be probably a pretty decent crowd for, again, a rivalry game on a Friday night. It just feels pretty darn right.
This is absolutely sickening schedule-wise. App State goes home against Georgia Southern, home against Marshall, away at Georgia Southern, away at Marshall. 4 straight games.
Yeah.
So they beat Georgia Southern in overtime at home and then lost to them by 2 points on the road. So those were, the home and away didn't really, those were kind of even teams there.
Mm-hmm.
I think 10 points already with Marshall beating them on the road. I feel like it'll probably be kind of similar to that. It'll be 6 to 8 points or something like that. So I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Thundering Herd, actually. By 9 o'clock, this bet will be in.
I'm with you. Yeah, especially if I'm having a good night. Yeah, I'm with you. Just count it for me too.
All right. Any other even tomorrow games you want to look at?
Nothing screaming out to me right now. So if you want to throw together a parlay here and bounce, I'm down.
Yeah, I am cool with that. I have already played 2 fake rounds of simulator golf today. And I haven't taken my leave yet. So I'm over here as an old man. I think the best score in the golf tournament today, because I played PGA National where they're at, I think the best score is 7 under by 2 or 3 guys. That's what I shot on the simulator from the tips on the simulator. No putting.
Heck yeah, there we go.
Big
That's huge.
There.
On the green, it's in.
No. You chip. Like there's certain targets depending on how far away from the hole you are, and then there's proximity to those targets is considered like bogey, par, birdie.
I like that. That's nice.
I can answer this one for you, DGen. This is probably the only time that I wouldn't take a plus 1.5 with the caps, even if it were to become live and available. My favorite team against the team that I worked for as a intern. So I'll probably be at this game with a Lightning shirt on underneath my Ovechkin jersey. So if the Lightning take the lead, I'll just pull it off real quick and be lightninging it out until the Caps come back and then put the other jersey back on. They've looked kind of shitty, but I feel like with 2 straight losses at home, Caps haven't lost 3 straight at home all year. This is not a team that has kind of gotten down on themselves. I feel like they get that win. Yeah, we probably should do UNLV Nevada. I don't have a bet in the game, but
yep.
Maybe maybe UNLV is our dog.
It might be. I always look for a reason to. I always look for a reason to fade Steve Alford as an Iowa guy. I mean, he is a scumbag. So I kind of enjoy just his misery. This season's been really fantastic for my fandom of that side of things. And yeah, rolling Rebs. Let's go.
Yeah, we can do like I already know your dog. That's not even going to be a tough one to pick out. But like UNLV with Iowa and
yeah, the other one I was looking at was a short dog that I have a bet on. You can tell me how you feel about it. Fairfield. Just kind of a smaller lineup with athletic guards getting a weird line against the 17-10 Mount St. Mary's team.
I was kind of looking at that one right there when I was scrolling by. I'm not going to take Coastal Carolina against ODU.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bet on a team with 3 wins in the conference.
Yeah, and specifically Coastal, they just bother me. Because I don't know, they don't have it. They don't play like they are like the Fresno and these teams that I think are going to get caught up in it because there's no way they can be this like polarizing game by game. They are just weird.
We can definitely do those two together.
Yeah.
If there's a third,
I was thinking Iowa.
Yeah, definitely Iowa. Definitely UNLV.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I was saying we should probably do those two as just a nice little pair up. But
okay, yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know. I don't really want to put Columbia in any kind of a parlay.
I don't because Princeton is so much better. It's just that they're tough to watch because they can be down by kind of like Yale tonight. You know, they were down by 10 early and if they win at the end, but you don't feel ever really great about it as it's happening.
I mean, oh man, we should have put Brown in as a live money line play with that.
I know. Well, hey, knock on wood. A lot of game left.
There's still a whole minute. I mean, that's
and they're the worst free throw shooting team in this conference by a large. So they can chuck up some bricks on us here real fast.
I mean, if you want to throw Fairfield in there, we can. I don't feel really great about too many of these other dogs. And I feel like that might be reaching a little bit, especially with a likely a massive day for both of us coming up on Saturday too.
Oh yeah. So, let's do it. Yeah. Let's do Iowa and UNLV. I think that's a good way to go about it.
All right. Bang those two together. We've got Yale up 70-67 with 10 seconds left. Bed play. Emus are up 8 at halftime, 44-36. Yeah, Feds must be in the building if they're playing so sharp.
Yeah.
Iona up early on Niagara. Oh man, there's the only reason why we don't hear about these investigations earlier is because that would get rid of the extra 4 games of some dumb 19-year-old giving them like completely solid rock hard evidence. Oh yeah,
yeah.
All here's the bet slip here. This guy's not going to stop betting. Like he's definitely not betting.
This player is playing his last game of his career. He is throwing his entire bankroll on this bet.
All right. Well, we're coming down here to 7 o'clock tip off.
Yeah, Iowa money line, UNLV money line. I'm seeing a roughly 5-1 pair.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
What about okay. We don't have any other games in the chat. I don't know why there would be. There was only like 20 games to go over anyways. We pretty much touched on them all.
Yeah, we hammered out a pretty good episode, I think.
It's not probably shouldn't use that term around the release of the Epstein list. Touch them all. That's might get flagged. This video red flag just went up. Well, now we're under Fed investigation. Fuck. God damn it. But all right, you got anything else going on over the weekend? You doing any other shows tonight or anything like that?
Nope. I'm gonna have actually later tonight on my YouTube channel, I'm gonna have a Sunbelt Conference tournament preview for futures and also bets for Saturday. But yeah, no plans. Enjoy the weekend, y'all, and thank you for having me on, Troy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody crack a beer and have a couple of 6 milligram Zins and fall asleep on the couch watching college basketball and wake up and everything's already set up for you to just keep it rolling for the next day. So I guess we're about to be up out of here. Everybody have a nice weekend and hopefully everybody's bets wins except for the ones that disagreed with mine. Hope you guys
exactly
lose.
Right.
What does Trevor always say? Toodles.